This for my north side,
Kiara,
south side,
Kiara,
east end,
Kiara,
west end,
Kiara,
for my H-town,
Kiara,
Seafield,
Kiara,
804,
Kiara,
we them real
Kiara.
yeah. 2 up, 2 down, rich town. 2 up, 2 down, rich town. 2 up, 2 down, rich town.
It's the Kiara Lee Show.
Rich town.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kiara Lee Show. My name is Kiara Lee and today we are talking about Black fatherhood. But not just Black fatherhood in general, more specifically the relationships Black fathers have with their daughters. And we're going to talk about, the specifics with that and the issues that come with that and why, most importantly, why it is so vital that our Black fathers have strong relationships with the women in their lives that are their daughters. Today, I have 2 guests with me, and I'm going to let them tell us a little about themselves.
Well, my name is Ronnie Sidney, and I am a social work student at VCU, and I am a Black father. My daughter is Molly. She's not here with me today, but I left her at home, of course. But just to talk a little bit about her, she was born premature. She was born at 31 weeks, so it was a very tense experience with her birth. We didn't, know if there would be any health complications, and thank God there wasn't any. So I didn't go through the whole umbilical cord cutting process, but it was just a joy seeing that she was healthy and happy. She had to stay in the hospital for a month, so bringing her home was probably one of the greatest days of my life, just getting a chance to bring her home and not have to go to the hospital every day.
That's great.
I'm Orlando Hawkins. This is my daughter, Naye McGee Hawkins, and what I can recall from when she was born, I actually didn't cut the umbilical cord. However, I did stand by her mother's side and held her hand the entire time, make sure that she was comforted at that point. But it was a very exciting experience for me because this is my only child, and it's good.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so according to the director of a documentary called Dear Daddy, which follows 8 African American females who are living their lives without their fathers, the director said in her statistics that she found about 1.8 million Black girls are currently living without their fathers. And as you probably know, the importance of like the mother-daughter relationships are stressed in society, very much so. But I just wanted to know, do you guys feel like the importance of the Black father-daughter relationship is overlooked in society?
Well, I do feel like it is to the extent of research. There's not a lot of research on the Black father and Black daughter relationship, but there's research on the father-daughter relationship. And some of the information that you gave, is correct. Having a father in your life, it does improve your self-esteem. Children are more well-adjusted, particularly daughters. Also more confident and more likely to be successful. So I think there is more stress now on it because there's research, to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they also put a stereotype at the beginning, like in the 90s and in the 80s, that Black men will pretty much run away from their responsibilities. Well, I know several men that are in their child's life and are very influential in their kid's life.
And I think that relationship can have a positive or negative impact on a daughter because they say that women marry their fathers. So that's a very popular quote. And I've been doing counseling for about 6 years, working with youth, working with adults. I work in a prison now, and I've heard the guys say that they've been in relationships with women where there was an expectation of violence. There was expectation of abuse, and it just really makes me think about, what type of, childhood that those women could have had. Women that typically, experience trauma, experience abuse, that pattern is replicated in their relationships with their significant other. So the father is kind of like that first male role model, like that first teacher. Yeah. And if you have a good teacher, a good positive teacher, a positive male, particularly a Black male, that can really change the image, and how a Black males are perceived.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you guys touched on stereotypes, which is a big thing with Black fatherhood in general and Black men, period. And like you guys said, Black fathers have been stereotyped since the beginning of time. According to Bryant Marks, who's the director of Morehouse's Research Institute on the African American Male, he says that the most common stereotypes that Black fathers face are, the deadbeat stereotype of a father not paying child support, the idea of the absent father that's never around, that's never in the home, and the stereotype that Black fathers always have multiple children with multiple women, are reckless with how they've spread their seed, so to speak. As Black fathers, like, how do y'all feel when y'all see these stereotypes or when y'all hear them in society, in the media? How does that make y'all feel being Black fathers yourselves?
Well, it doesn't discourage me at all. It only makes me stronger, and it also makes my peers stronger as well. You just continue to stay strong, It doesn't really show no effect, if it does show an effect, it's only a positive effect that'll make you a better person.
That's good. So you use it as like motivation. Yeah. That's great.
I guess with me, watching Maury Povich, when I was growing up, Maury was more positive than he is now. Now it's like almost every week he's bringing a guy on there and they're doing this paternity test and you're not the father, and they do these dances and it's like an exciting, exhilarating experience. And, I think that does feed into the stereotype. Ricky Smiley also has a segment on this show where they do this paternity thing on, and it's almost like, it's almost as if women aren't valuing who they may produce children with. I feel really sorry for children who don't have their fathers, or not know who their fathers are. But that stereotype also of fathers not paying child support, not taking care of their kids, this whole thing of baby daddies, it is a stereotype. And I agree with what you said. It bothers me from the aspect of me being a social worker, wanting to be a social worker and really being socially conscious. So I'm aware that there is a stereotype, but I think, like what the gentleman said, we just have to, be positive and show that stereotype doesn't apply to everyone, that we can, live outside of that stereotype.
Very good. So do you all think that, in general, there's anything that can be done about these stereotypes? I know you guys are saying to be positive and use it as positive energy and use it as motivation to be good fathers in your own lives, but do you all feel like, on a bigger scale, there's a way to debunk these stereotypes or disprove them, or anything can be done to get rid of them, or are they here to stay? What do you all feel about that?
Well, people are going to put an image out on you, regardless of how you carry yourself, and most of the time it's not true. So if you just stay positive and just continue to handle your situation, then the proof is in the pudding. What you see is what you get. You actually see somebody being involved in their child's life, and whatever negative energy they try to present as far as you not being involved, it'll soon die down because it's just a lie.
There are people out there actually in organizations that are trying to change the image and change the cycle that's going on. Particularly Angela Patton, she's in Richmond, and she has the Camp Diva organization, and they have a Date with Dads weekend where they invite dads from the community to to this very formal kind of like a ball. They can bring their daughters, they dress up, there's food, there's dancing, there's entertainment, and also she seeks to connect the children to the fathers that have been incarcerated. Because like I said, I work in a prison, and it's so many fathers in there that's separated from their kids physically, mentally and emotionally. So just with her providing that connection, it'll bring some awareness that, hey, when we have these with the criminal justice system and with these systems in place, we need to make sure that we kind of close this gap of children that are, living out in society with their parents who are incarcerated. Because there is a relationship there, and it's a very traumatic experience for a father or a male to get incarcerated and detaching from that child. A lot of children really don't understand that. And also social services has lots of initiatives now that they have promoting fatherhood and encouraging fathers to be a part of their children's life. whether it's, physically, emotionally, financially, just I feel like if a man can play any part that's positive, it's good.
That's good. As you all are Black fathers yourselves with daughters, what obstacles do you guys cite in, kind of interfering with, I guess, being a father or fatherhood period? What are the obstacles? Like, what are the hardships? What kind of difficult times do you face with being a good father to your daughter?
Well, my thing is work. When certain times I can't attend certain assemblies in school or certain field trips. Sometimes I do want to do that, but work doesn't allow me to do that. So that's one thing that I wish I could, be more involved in with that. But other than that, that's it, personally.
So like balancing work.
Yeah,
and
balancing work and, that's the whole thing.
I could see that being difficult, definitely.
Yeah.
And I will have to piggyback and follow, what he said. Definitely work, because I want to provide the best foundation for her and her sister, and be able to give them opportunities. And my parents gave me opportunities. My parents, were together, and they gave me every opportunity that they could. They did the best, they could to provide for me. And, the working is kind of like the byproduct of trying to provide that lifestyle for your children that you want them to be the most successful.
Right.
So, it's a gift and a curse, but, I feel like it's something that has to be done, because, going to good schools, being in environments that are safe and healthy for their, for their development is the best for them. So I'll just do whatever I have to do, and we'll do whatever we have to do to, to make it happen.
That sounds good to me. So it's noted in research and statistics that Black girls that grow up with their fathers in their lives are more likely to grow up to be more independent, to lead more successful lives, and to be more secure in themselves than girls that don't grow up with their fathers. And I want to know, do you all see any of these attributes in your own daughters? I know you guys have young daughters, but I'm just curious, or do you stress that in raising your daughters, those kind of values like independence and security, self-esteem, self-worth? How does that kind of play out in your relationships with your daughters?
Well, mine is she'll be 2 in May, so she's still a baby. Yeah. But I just definitely make sure that I have different books with women in there. I try to provide a literature. I have nieces that were kind of like my daughters before my daughter came. So just taking on positive events like Happy Natural Day, Kwanzaa festivals, just letting them know the importance of women, because I think in society women are devalued in music, devalued in popular culture, television. So just kind of providing that self-esteem, telling them that you love them, giving them hugs, really just being a positive figure, and let them know that they are valued, they are loved, and there's nothing wrong with them, and they can be just as strong as a man. They can do the same things men can do, if not more, and just making sure that they have that that person that they can depend on, they can trust.
Yeah, and being making her be involved in certain activities or what have you, to let her know that she can do all kinds of things, by herself without having to have, other people with negative influences or what have you.
And I think too, being a father, you kind of want your kids to rely on you. You want them to depend on you, because I think when they get older and teenagers, I typically see that kind of overprotective dad. And there's no man good enough for your daughter. And, I had that attitude right now. And, it's just one of those expectations that you have to set for them. You want them to know that, hey, you valued, you're a beautiful person. And, you need to have objectives and goals and expectations. There's a way to be treated. And I think the way that, we treat our daughters, and also the way that we treat their mothers, is a model of how men supposed to treat women. I can, even if me and my girlfriend we're talking and we just maybe just playing, she looks at it and it's like, what are y'all doing? Like, even if we're just playing, maybe just tapping each other, whatever, what have you. She kind of gets nervous. She intervenes, like, no, don't hit my daddy, or don't play with mommy like that, And so I just make sure that I model appropriate behavior. how to, communicate with each other, how to, love each other, and just so she'll understand, that this is appropriate and this is not appropriate.
That sounds good. So in case there's a black father watching right now that's struggling with his relationship with his own daughter and, wants to get closer with his daughter, what do you guys suggest that he should do? And what's the first step he should take to get closer to his daughter?
Well, I'm thinking that a lot of black men's problem is the time, and they might fear that their finances isn't in order to spend the time. Whereas that's not true, because not all the time you would need to spend your money. It's just your presence. That's the present.
Yes.
And not just gifts. So definitely you want to spend a lot of time, as much time as you can while they're young, so you can plant that, that good vibe. So when they get older, they can't say you wasn't around,
Definitely.
And I agree. And I'm not gonna make any excuses for fathers, because a simple phone call, a letter, a visit, any gesture to show that you're interested in your daughter or your son's life means a lot to them. And I think we devalue or underestimate the importance of just contacting them and reaching out. So I think initiating that communication is important. And also, don't allow your relationship with the child's mother dictate your relationship with your child. It's okay if you don't get along with the child's mother, but I feel like for the sake of raising the child, it's good to have a healthy relationship. I also feel like, as fathers, and I think the financial aspect, as you said, is something that we worry about, but I think just providing that emotional support, it means more than money for kids. Kids just enjoy spending that time, especially at a young age. And I think as adults, we have a greater presence, a greater influence with our children at a young age, because when they become teenagers, their peers have a much larger influence than we do. So building that foundation, like you said, is crucial. And just protecting and providing. It's a lot of mothers out there raising children by themselves. Yes. with no father support, and sometimes not even from the father's family. So just providing that support by whatever means you can. And it's hard out here. It's not a lot of brothers working, but so I see brothers out here buying Jordans. Brothers out here spending money on things where they could be giving their money to their children.
Yeah. And so, in a lot of statistics that kind of compare racial groups and children and parenting and fatherhood, like across the board, it's black men, according to statistics, that aren't in children's lives, boys and girls, but aren't in their children's lives, aren't providing for them, and the white men in the statistics, are overwhelmingly more present in their children's lives, providing more, and ultimately having children that end up leading successful lives and healthier lives than our black children. What societal factors do you guys think are contributing to that? Is there something to blame? Is there someone to blame? What's the root of that? Because y'all have given a lot of good suggestions on how to use the negativity to motivate you to be good fathers, and how to budget your time, and how it's not about giving your daughter money and time is more important. But I just want to know, what do y'all think are the big factors that are kind of perpetuating black fathers being last in kind of like the rankings of fatherhood statistically?
Well, I hit a little bit on the prison situation. There's as far as comparing races, there are significantly more African American males in prison than any other demographic group, and a lot of women that are getting pregnant are younger, so they don't really have that understanding of what a relationship is, The young men haven't had fathers in their lives, so they may not even know how to be a father or what a father does, or that idea of a father may be counter to what the real, idea of a father is. So I just think first that education and just really just defining what a father is. I think we have to redefine it, or maybe just go back to what it really was, what it's always been. Because I tend to think racism plays a part in it. I also feel like the community plays a part in it too. A lot of black males live in communities that are high poverty, high crime, high unemployment. And in order to provide for your children in a traditional way, the man is supposed to provide financially. And I've talked to men in prison, one in particular, who, when his daughter came to see him for visitation, she asked him, "Daddy, can you buy me this?" He's in prison. He's unable to really, he can work, but he's not making enough money to really provide for his daughter. And in his mind, when he gets back out, he's going to do whatever he has to do to buy those things for her. So as fathers, we want to be there. We want to be supportive. Some don't have the means to do that, and they go by other means, which only kind of perpetuates this cycle of violence and this cycle of fathers not being in their daughters' sons' lives.
Yes. And I saw the other day, y'all may have seen it on TV, some really extremely right-wing conservative politician or wannabe politician had made a statement, something like black people would be better off as slaves because at least they cared about their family more than when they were picking cotton, because now they're all living in public housing and are all incarcerated and their kids are suffering. That's pretty much what the man said in so many words. What do y'all think about that statement? Someone saying, someone so conservative is to think that the state of the black family today is so bad that we would be better off in shackles, that the black family unit would be better off in shackles. I mean, what is there to say about that?
Well, it seems as though that's what they're aiming at. When you have all these movies, The Butler, The Help, 12 years later, all these are like trying to manipulate your mind like everything was good back then, or this is what it is, this is what we're aiming at. And just to give an image to white people that, okay, this is what we need to push on black people, which that's clearly not what's gonna happen. So, as far, I think his name was Clive Bundy. I mean,
something like that. Yes,
but he's a lost soul. I
agree.
He's one of the older generation, from back then who really never really cared for black people anyway. Though, and what as much people, there are plenty of them out here. So you just have to exclude yourself from them type of people.
Exactly.
And focus on the community, focus on family, and continue to do that. There's so many of those people out here. I'm trying to tell you.
And I think with him too, he's isolated. He's from the Midwest, but he's probably never seen a black person in real life. And a lot of times racist or generalized, they'll make statements that are, not correct because out of ignorance. The president of the United States has a black family. Of course, he ignored that example and went towards the examples that are being perpetuated over the TV.
Right. Yeah.
And I think historically, and you think about back in slavery, we had no choice. Our families were being taken from us. We really didn't have a choice on if we wanted to be there. But after slavery, the families came back together because there was that kind of that overt racism. I think now racism is more covert. And back then we needed each other to survive. I needed this brother to survive. I needed you to survive because there was no one else outside of us to help us, to do for us. So the family was much more important. Back then there was heavy, agriculture, farming. You needed a family, you needed a man there to help farm, you needed sons, you needed a protector, you needed someone to protect your family, you needed someone to provide for your family. So the black man's role was more defined back then. We knew exactly what we had to do to get the job done. I think now with society, the man's role, I won't say he's less needed, well I guess I will say he's less needed, because now you have food stamps, you have public assistance, you have all of these other services where a woman doesn't need a man.
Yeah.
You know, and some of it's done on purpose, and some of it it happens, you know, by product of trying to provide for the woman. So I just don't feel like the men are needed as much as they were back then, and that's a problem, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So I just want to ask y'all just a few words for the father that is separated from his daughter, that is separated from his family, whether he be incarcerated, whether the relationship between the mother is severed, just the man that is physically not in the child's life but wants to be. What's some advice for him?
Well, if you're incarcerated, you definitely want to see if you can reach out by calling. I think they have emails now in prison or what have you. You definitely want to communicate. You definitely want to communicate. And if you're outside and, you know, in population out here, you definitely want to try to make your presence felt by calling. More specifically, I think you should actually be there. Even if you can't go to King's Dominion or any type of amusement park, or you can't go to the movies or whatever, you still can just be there, sit down and talk. And that's, you know, and you do it more than once a week. You have to be there a lot. Just as much as the mother, just as much.
Yeah, and I want to also kind of speak to the fathers out here that, because to me, father is a role. You know, it's not just men can have babies, but a father is a role. So even if it's not your child, it could be another man's child. Being the role of that father means a lot. You know, it's very significant. So even the men out there that, you know, are in, you know, their children's mothers' lives, you know, or not, understand your role, you know, and play your role. For those who are detached, you know, from that, you know, child, I think it's important that you know, make that bridge, because we're adults, you know, so you may have to apologize. You may have to admit some wrongdoings just to build that bridge, you know, and give your child opportunity to cross it, you know, and to build that relationship.
Great. Well, both of y'all provided a lot of great feedback, great suggestions, great advice for Black fatherhood, and I'm just so appreciative that both of you could be here on the show today. And I hope everyone that's watching has taken heed to what they've said. These two brothers have given a lot of insightful information and wonderful advice, so that those who are watching that want to have better relationship with their daughter those who are watching that don't have a relationship with their daughter can take that step closer to have a relationship with their daughter, or just those that are listening that just want to enlighten themselves on Black fatherhood. I just hope you all were listening well and take heed to the information. My name is Kiara Lee, and thank you for watching The Kiara Lee Show.
This for my north side,
Kiara.
south side,
Kiara.
east end,
Kiara.
west end,
Kiara.
for my H-town,
Kiara.
Seafield,
Kiara.
804,
Kiara.
we them real,
Kiara.
yeah, 2 up, 2 down, rich town, 2 up, 2 down, rich town, 2 up, 2 down, rich town,
It's the Kiara Lee Show.
rich town.